Good morning and thank you for joining the Daily Record here at Bethpage Black. It's Wednesday of the Ryder Cup. We're getting ever closer to the balls in the air, the big tee-off on Friday. Anticipation building with every minute that passes by here in New York. And this morning it is just past 7:15 and the place is absolutely heaving. Supporters were allowed in, or fans were allowed in for the first time yesterday after Monday's practice. We talked about it yesterday. Monday's practice was behind closed doors. Tuesday there was big crowds out in force, and it looks like it's going to be the same thing again this morning, because in about 10 minutes there is a celebrity sort of challenge, a celebrity match. There's various American sports stars and celebrities going to be on it. David Beckham's son Brooklyn's playing, Catherine Zeta-Jones and NFL ex-stars, things like that. So a lot of excited Americans coming to see some superstar people that we might not be so aware of. But I guess the concentration for us guys is what's going to be happening with the big teams when they get going on Friday. Now, from that point of view, yesterday was an interesting day, Tuesday. The Europeans, as we said on Facebook Live yesterday, they played 18. All 12 of the team played a full round. The Americans restricted themselves to playing just 9, but the European boys played the full 18. And they were certainly well received. I know it could be slightly different when the competitive action starts, but it was a real charm offensive for the European team yesterday. I don't think any kid with any cap or flag or anything, I don't think any of them went unsigned. The European boys made a real effort to integrate, and it was certainly well received and well appreciated by the people here. There was many people that we spoke to at Record Sport, and we were going around the fans and just getting an idea of what people thought about it, and they were very complimentary to the European players. There was a notion that the American lads weren't signing anything. During the rounds, they were busy. They were kind of taking a business first approach. So the Europeans certainly won favour there. Like I say, we'll see how that translates itself into when the actual competitive action starts. It might not be quite as friendly when that gets going. But listen, it's something that Luke Donalds has touched upon a lot in the build-up to this Ryder Cup. Trying to win some of the hearts and minds of the locals, because obviously if it gets tasty here, then it could be quite arduous for some of the European players if the American fans start to go on their case. So the more work that the Europeans can do to get people on side, then probably the better for them once it gets going. Like I say, charity game, the celebrity games will get going at 7:30. In terms of what the European team will do today, there's been a lot of changes today, because you probably have noted, if you've been following what's been happening from here, the traditional opening ceremony, which usually happens on the eve of a Ryder Cup, is going to happen today. It's going to happen this afternoon. There's some serious weather alerts for sort of Thursday, late afternoon Thursday, when the opening ceremony was scheduled to take place. So the decision was taken to shift it back to today. What sort of effect that has on, for example, Stephen Gallagher's junior Ryder Cup team are meant to be playing here at Bethpage Black the final day of their competition. The singles was meant to take place on Thursday, so we don't really know how the weather's going to hold up there. But in terms of the preparation for America and Europe, it has changed things a little bit, because, for example, there was supposed to be a raft of European players doing their media today, as we talked about yesterday. Each player does like a 15-minute slot. It's a captain and the players, they get together and they allocate. Because time's so precious this week, they keep it to the bare minimum. So they all have a media obligation. They all do like sort of 15 minutes each. And the majority of the European players were supposed to speak today. But because of this movement of the opening ceremony and what has to be arranged for that type of thing, then it's only 4 who's going to speak today. Now, Tommy Fleetwood will be speaking to us in about 30 minutes. Ludwig Aubert, Rasmus Højgaard and Justin Rose. The likes of Rory McIlroy and Robert McIntyre, these boys were also meant to be doing it. They're going to do it tomorrow now. So they'll do it on the eve of the competition. It's also had an impact on practice, as you would expect, because they need to get sorted, they need to get organised for what they're going to be doing for this opening ceremony. So the Europeans are going to play 9 holes off the 10th tee. They're going to get going about 10:30. America are also going to play 9 holes. They're going to play off the first tee. So, as we talked about yesterday, captains are keen for players not to blow themselves out. You know, it's a long week, pretty energy sapping. The Europeans were here last week after the BMW Championship at Wentworth. They came over and they did the sort of 2-day reconnaissance mission, getting to know the nooks and crannies of the golf course and that type of thing. So a lot of that prep work was already done. It's just about staying loose, tweaking the last couple of things for the swings. So 9 holes should suffice today. We'll presume that both teams will play 9 holes again tomorrow, just as a final tune-up for Friday. The pairings, which are always announced, the first morning pairings for Friday, the 4 matches, who will take part, 8 players that will take part in those first 4 matches. That, of course, is traditionally normally done at the opening ceremony. Despite the fact that the opening ceremony is now tonight, the pairings will still be announced on Thursday. There's been a different plan made for that. We're not sure yet. They haven't quite announced where that's going to be done. It's probably in the media centre or somewhere like that. But it's not going to be done with the pomp of the opening ceremony, but they will still be done on Thursday, so there won't be any playing of the cards, if you like. No one's going to know on Wednesday night who's playing like a night earlier. It's going to be done at the usual time, which is probably a decision which was made by both of the captains. I'm quite sure they were in agreement with that. Like I say, it's really busy already. I mean, you probably see behind me, there's folk absolutely flooding in. The traffic getting here this morning was really busy compared to the first couple of days, so we can only imagine what it's going to be like tomorrow and then Friday when a certain president of the United States is coming to watch the opening games. And there was some talk about him being here for the first tee shot, welcoming the players onto the first tee, but now the notion, I think, appears to be probably more sensibly just to wait until those games are away, because it's very difficult with all the security that's going to be required to get Donald Trump into the golf course and the 50,000 people who want to be in place, because I would imagine the stands and the fairways will be rammed by about 6 o'clock, despite the fact the first game doesn't go off to 7:10. So it's going to be busy enough without the extra necessity of checking everyone and double checking everyone security wise for the president coming in. Anyway, back to the golf, which is more important. Listen, the Europeans, they spent a bit of time, as I said, on the course yesterday, the full 18 holes. There was a lot of, sort of throwing balls into rough, bunkers, chipping, just getting a feel for what the course was like, just off when they miss greens and miss fairways, just trying to find out how the rough plays, what it's like for getting balls out of there, that type of thing. So very valuable, because even though it's only a week, conditions could have changed, somewhat from what they played last week. So they just want to be in tune with absolutely everything. Like I say, the guys that are going to be talking today, Tommy Fleetwood. Listen, Tommy's really, really popular here. He's spoken a lot since he won the FedEx Cup, which just increased his popularity yet again here in America, finally getting that first PGA Tour win. He's going to be one of the big players for Luke Donald this week. Justin Rose, that's the absolute Ryder Cup stalwart for Europe, who played such an important role for Bob McIntyre in Rome 2 years ago, and there is a school of thought that he might sort of undertake a job like that with Rasmus Højgaard, the only rookie in the team this year for Europe, but the practice rounds wouldn't suggest that, because that pair haven't played together, and Luke Donald has been known to, like for example, Justin and Bob played regularly through the summer before Rome in various events, almost just to get comfortable with each other and see each other's games. They were regular together, and again at Wentworth in the last tournament before it, they played together. So the fact that Justin and Rasmus haven't played together would suggest that might not happen. Ludwig Aubert will speak today. We spoke about Ludwig yesterday. Good start to the season. He's been a reasonably consistent year, Ludwig, but probably not hit the heights that a lot of people thought he might. He's been solid enough, but you just wonder if some of that sparkle that was there last year has maybe been missing a little bit. But listen, he proved that Romy can step up to the big occasion and really deliver when need be. So I don't think anybody in the European camp will be concerned about that. It'll just be interesting to see whether he forms that alliance again with Victor Hovland that worked so well in Rome. The two of them were absolutely dynamite together. So we'll see if that happens. Of course, we touched on the fact yesterday that Ludwig and Matt Fitzpatrick have been playing together quite a lot in the build-up. They played together at Wentworth, they played together in practice yesterday, so that seems to be something that people are thinking might happen come Friday. Those two might be seen together, but we'll get a better idea about that later. And of course, Rasmus Højgaard, as I said, was a fourth European who was going to speak today, so incredible journey for him. I mean, just missed the team in Rome, ended up there while his twin brother Nikolai was playing, driving about in the buggy. and now he's going to get a taste of it himself. So it's been an incredible journey for him. So, I mean, I think he's been quite open about the fact he's going to be incredibly nervous about it, but who wouldn't be? You know, he's got his twin brother to lean on him, the things he's got to cope with and what he's got to do, and having that experience of being with him in Rome, I'm sure is going to play a big part in helping him get settled into it. Like I say, the weather forecast for tomorrow is pretty bad for the afternoon, which would mean that if the players are going to get out, they're going to get out in the morning, which they would do anyway, which I think they were planning to do because the opening ceremony was meant to be on Thursday, as we said, but they'll probably do that anyway. But today looks fair, looks as though it's going to be okay. It was times yesterday when it looked as though it was going to pour down, but it doesn't look that way today. It's pretty warm, it's 7:30 in the morning, and already starting to feel the place heating up, so there's a lot of people pouring in here, by the way. Just while we're here, I should show you the Ryder Cup shop. Probably the biggest merchandising tent you have ever seen in your life. It's like an aircraft hire. It is massive. You go all the way down, and it's not cheap. I think the $500,000 that each American player and Keegan Bradley are going to get for appearing here at Bethpage might well be paid for by what comes through those tills in there, because as you can see behind me, it's probably the size, probably the length of a football pitch, to be perfectly honest with you, maybe bigger. And you're not going to get any 15 quid t-shirts in there. So anyway, well, the supporters are all piling in. They'll get to see the main teams, like I say, through this morning, maybe early afternoon, but we're only 9 holes. I imagine they'll be off the golf course pretty quickly. I know the PGA of America put out a note yesterday saying any of the ticket holders who bought tickets for Thursday could come in today, because obviously they're going to be robbed of the chance to see the opening ceremony, and that's maybe why they bought the tickets. Listen, a lot of people think these things are not really worth anything, these sort of ceremonies and a lot of talk and that kind of thing, but listen, we've seen in the past that they can play a massive part. I think we all remember in 2008 Nick Faldo talking about thanking people from the heart of his bottom and things like that. Very much in Europe, one down before a ball was hit. And conversely, in Rome 2 years ago, when Luke Donald took to the stage and began speaking in fluent Italian, which was just an absolute masterclass for the European captain. As Shane Lowry has said subsequently, Europe sat on that stage that day and thought they were one up already, because Luke Donald was in absolute control of the place with what he did. So, listen, I'm not saying it's crucially important, but the tone can be set for the week by what these captains say on the stage in front of the crowd, so that's going to be interesting to hear what happens. But in any case, it's been great speaking to everyone this morning. We're going to get off because, like I say, Tommy Fleetwood's about to do the first European interview. We've got to go and hear what these guys say. So thank you for joining us. Stay in touch with the Daily Record for everything you need to know from Bethpage Black.